Before we get into this week's episode, I wanted to let you know that we are opening up our signature course the very first week of November. We've changed the name of it from the Complete Wedding Videography course to the How to Film Weddings course, and we just finished re-recording the entire thing. It's been a few years since we recorded the Complete Wedding Videography course, and Nick and I got together and re-recorded everything. Couple things to know about this. If you've already purchased the course, we're going to be updating it and giving it to you for free. So log into your account and you'll be able to find it. If you don't know what our course is, it is the handbook for wedding filmmakers. It's everything you need to know about business, shooting, and editing. And Nick and I walk through the 10 steps that you need to do as a wedding filmmaker to continue to level up your business year after year, to continue to cycle upward with your chart, what you're charging, yes, but more so the kinds of couples you're working with. Do you work with the couples you want to be working with? Are you getting paid what you want to get paid? And then finally, is the work that you're creating invigorating your soul? Is it making you just excited? Is it making you feel fulfilled? This is what this course is going to do. It's going to teach you the 10 steps that we have done over the last 17 years to not only have a six-figure business, but to not get tired of doing this job, to be more invigorated now than ever, to be booking those dream clients in those dream locations. And I went through over the last couple of years and I've really dissected everything that it's taken for me to go from a brand charging $750 for my first wedding to now booking weddings over $20,000. And not just booking weddings for $20,000, but working with couples that absolutely freaking love me. They love working with me, not just because they like me as a person, but they love the brand. They love the work. They love the result. So the very first week of November, we'll be opening the doors. We're going to have a lot of giveaways, a lot of things involved. But I just wanted to pop in here before we started this week's episode so that you could know the Complete Wedding Video course is now the How to Film Weddings course, and it's coming out the very first week of November. If you have questions about it, just send us an email to hello@howtofilmweddings.com or send us a DM at How to Film Weddings on Instagram. There's going to be a lot of information here on the podcast as well as in our Facebook group. We are very excited about this. I mean, like very excited. You can head to howtofilmweddings.com to check out all the information. And with that, let's go ahead and hop into this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller and I am joined by Mr. John Bunn over there on the screen somewhere. I'm in Wichita, Kansas. He is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And just in case people didn't know that, but we have this little podcast and we're doing it together. So I'm just gonna ask you, John, how are you doing today? How you doing?
Oh, man.
You well? You good?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, I'm having a good day. I'm wondering at what point, or if any, should we just stop saying who we are? I mean, I think we're like 300 episodes in, but
but every episode is potentially someone's first episode.
That's true. And if it's your first episode, welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. Like, podcasts are still a thing, right? People still listen to podcasts.
I think so.
It seems like it. I mean,
I would assume so. It's kind of a big deal, a little bit.
Okay, just making sure. But you asked how I was doing. I'm doing great. I'm actually right after hitting record here, I'm running to a volleyball game for 7th grade girls. So can't wait for that. Mm-hmm. Another game filled with excitement of my daughter's 7th grade volleyball. Other than that, just working on a bunch of stuff for our Complete Wedding Videography course, which is coming out very soon. And a lot of stuff for our mastermind group coming out in January, very soon. The fall season is like my favorite season of How to Film Weddings, I think so, because there's just like a lot of, like, we got our current mastermind students, we're thinking about next year's mastermind, it's almost our retreat time, we got our course coming out, we got all kinds of big plans we're building, and so I don't know, I'm just in a really good spot. Football season's here and Cowboys are here, and I'm just saying,
I mean,
hopefully by the time this comes out, we're great.
We're recording this ahead of time. Like, I'm leaving tomorrow in real world time to go to Italy. And so, like, John's like, he's going to his daughter's game. Well, I got to go pick up my mom from the airport, and I got to go make sure we have groceries and all this stuff, because she's going to watch the kids, that sort of thing. But hopefully for you, when this releases sometime in October, the Cowboys are still doing good. Like, I hope that for you. I mean, I really don't like the Cowboys at all. But for you, does it though? I mean, I am a Chiefs fan, and the Chiefs have been the best team in football the last 5 years. So
that's fine. I'm just saying that, like, you don't have to hate the Cowboys. Like, you have no reason.
I think it's just in the 90s when the Cowboys were everything. It was like you either love the Cowboys or you hate them. Like, it wasn't kind of like you're not in the Cowboys. It was you love, like the Yankees were in the 90s or the Patriots were in the early thousands. It's like you either a fan or you absolutely hate them.
Well, I mean, the Chiefs are good. I'm a fan. I would love to have the Chiefs play the Cowboys one day in the Super Bowl. That's all I want. And if that happens, we're going to do a GoFundMe or Venmo or whatever happens in 50 years when that actually might happen. And we're going to offer you all to just donate just a little bit so me and Nick can both go to that game.
And then whoever wants to push in 50 years wants to push me in the wheelchair around.
Yeah, you'll be 91. And I'll be just not even barely into my 80s because I'm just kidding. No matter what, I'm always...
Guys, we're off the rocker. We're off the rails a little bit, but we're going to jump back on it right now. We're getting to talk about wedding film stuff. But before we do it, our guests today, Zach and Katie of Water and Whimsy. They are currently based in Colorado. Their edits are incredible. They're great business people, but they're, like, more importantly, they're just fun, genuine people to hang around. We met them at the Rome workshop a couple months ago, and just like instantly, it was like, I like these people. Like, we could hang out with these people, just very open and stuff. So we had a great conversation with them. But John, I want to talk about our friends over at Musicbed really quick. We have, both John and I have been using Musicbed exclusively in our wedding films for 8 years, a long time, especially ever since they started doing their subscription service. It is an incredible value. It is the best music licensing platform out there. And if you head over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed, we can get you 1 month free off of an annual subscription using promo code HTFW23. So howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed, check it out, get that subscription, get really, really good music for your wedding videos. And just want to talk about them. Anything you want to say before we jump in here?
They are great, almost as good or even to the Dallas Cowboys and this episode. So let's jump into this week's episode with Katie and Zach from Water and Whimsy.
Man.
Okay, cool.
Zach and Katie of Water and Whimsy photo and video. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. How are you?
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
Good. We're good. We're shaking. We're excited to be here. So excited.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You should be shaking. It's something really, kind of freaky to be up on. No, I'm kidding. But
we were just saying before we started podcasting that you guys are the GOATs. I mean, we're honored to be here.
Man,
yeah.
I only want people on the podcast that say things like that. So this is why
from
they're
here
here
on
today.
out. From here on out, that's a rule. People have to say no. Thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate that. So, Water and Whimsy is your name. Why don't you guys just kind of do a quick introduction, a quick rundown on where you're located, who you guys are, what you guys do, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So like you said, we're Zach and Katie of Water and Whimsy. We started this thing back in 2017, babe? 2017?
Yeah, 2016, 17, yeah.
2016, 17. We live in Denver now, but we were based in Michigan when we started. We also lived in Hawaii for a few years. And like I said, now we're in Denver, rocking over here. Though we live in Denver, we base our work off of destination weddings. So we travel all over the freaking country, let alone world, which is so cool. We're going to Italy here soon, which will be so fun. But yeah, we do mostly like multi-day destination weddings. So fun.
Mm-hmm. We had the opportunity, Nick, to get to say hey in real life in Denver with these two. And it was just obviously that they're very full of personality. They're very personable people. We liked them, hit it off immediately. We had already had a podcast scheduled for a long time ago. And then it was just like, hey, these are the people that are coming on our podcast. And so I was on Instagram, I think so, saw some of your work, really liked the vibe. Like I'm always scouring Instagram, looking at who's doing what and just what's new, what's unique, who has personality on the internet, who is just like showing up in a way that feels fresh and inspiring. And so I followed along and started just kind of keeping an eye on you two. And I was like, okay, we should have them on the podcast. So why don't you explain a little bit of how your setup works? You do video and photo, who does what, and maybe just a little bit of like, how'd this get going? Like, how did you guys decide to get going together with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can jump in. So, like we said, we started the business back in 2016, 17. So it's kind of actually an interesting story. I had a buddy in college when I was finishing up at the tail end of college that started a wedding videography business. And he started that up in northern Michigan, and that's where I grew up. Kind of a destination scene up there for people from Chicago and Detroit. They like to go up there and spend the summer up there. So he started shooting weddings, and I'll take it back a step. Actually, I kind of like a lot of people, bought a camera when I was younger, just kind of toying around with it, making videos for fun with my friends.
He was always that guy who had the camera, like in the friends group, like
traveling, making fun videos, stuff like that. And so me and this buddy, we had kind of done some of that stuff together in the past. And but yeah, he started shooting weddings, and he actually asked me to start editing his films for him. So he would shoot, and then I just kind of came in and did one for him, and he liked it. And so I did a couple more. And I think it was in his second year where he had maybe not a ton of weddings, but 5 to 10 weddings booked. He ended up actually moving out of state in North Carolina, and was looking for somebody to take over the business. And so I kind of stepped in, and I actually bought the business from him for, it was, a couple $1,000s or whatever, which came with some gear. It came with weddings already booked on the schedule, and it was an easy transition. We were pretty similar people, similar vibe. And so he handed me off to some of his clients, and I filmed a few weddings with him that previous summer as well, after I'd edited a few, just to kind of get the hang of things, so that we could transition over that next summer. And then that's just kind of how it started, and it went from 5 to 10 weddings to 10 to 15 to 15 to 20, kind of each summer gradually. And then a year or two maybe down the road after that is when Katie and I met. And she was actually working on the other side of the camera and broadcasting for a news station. So she was familiar. And but she was awesome. She was reporting, a lifestyle reporter. So she was out in the field covering all sorts of different
different
things.
life.
Please tell me that we can find some links to some of your work.
Please don't. Please
do you have a reporter voice? Like, can you do you have that reporter voice that you can talk in the rest of the time, please?
Could you at least like do a quick report about the fact that you're on the How to Film Weddings podcast real fast, then throw it back to Nick? Go. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm Katie Clunder. Oh, Phillips. I got married. Shit. I have to say shit.
Twice. I keep saying shit.
It's so funny. It's different life. But yeah, I always knew how to capture story because I was on a different side of the camera in a way. Yeah. So it came pretty easily to me. And I think we went to one workshop. We went to shout them out. It's Wild and Unwritten workshop by Kylie Morgan and Peyton Backford. And they hired us to film their workshop while they were in Kauai. And I listened in to every single lesson like intently. I was writing down everything. I don't even know if I was supposed to be, but I was writing down everything, taking everything. And I was like, babe, we got to jack up our business. Like, let's freaking go.
Yeah. And so I think that was kind of the turning point where she quit her job. She took over doing all of the business side of things. I was actually still working another job as well. So she took over all the business side of things, the social media, the marketing, she built our website and really kind of leveled things up in order for us to kind of take that next step together. And so, and then we, built from there, started shooting more weddings, started to develop our style. And then fast forward to the last, 2 or 3 years, Kate really picked up doing photography. And so we now offer both our business, photo and video for couples. I would say, this year it's been probably like 50-50, 60-40 with photo video, 60 being both photo and video, the other 40 being video. And so, yeah.
I love it. And I love watching you guys, your personality, all the things that you've infused into your brand as I've been following along. I wanted to kind of like hear from you all, like when it comes to Water and Whimsy, how and where it grew to. You have this business. You meet Katie. She's a news personality, knockout news personality. You're like, how can I, marry this woman? How can I be with this woman? How can I find this, whatever it is? And you guys start getting all these weddings, these things. Did the branding naturally come to you, Katie? Did you like the website's dope? You guys' photos are awesome. It's full of personality. You guys are not afraid to be who you are. Like, how long did it take to kind of get that kind of ironed out in your business?
Yeah, and thank you so much for saying all that. That's so nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started the business together before we were even married, which is crazy. Even before we were engaged, we were just like, let's do this thing, which was so funny. Now looking back, it could have ended up being a thunderstorm of sorts, but no, it ended up really well. But yeah, I think branding has always kind of, and social media has always kind of come a little bit easier to me. I think it's just because I can't help but be myself. It just is like, I'm authentic through and through. And I think some of the best brands start out that way, especially for Zach and I, who are a husband and wife team. The more that we show our faces, the more that people fall in love with us, per se. They fall in love with our business and our brand and who we are, and want us to come along with them on some pretty epic adventures.
Yeah, absolutely. But it did take time. It took a long time to develop.
Yeah, true.
From when we started to where we are now. A lot of different steps to get there. Testing out, who are the people that we want to engage
Market
with, do
to.
business with, market to, and I think deciding those things, a big part of that was like, who are we as people? You know what I mean? What do we like to do?
Yeah.
And how can that intertwine and play within our brand as well? And we like to travel a lot. And like I said, when I picked up a camera at first, I was making fun little travel videos, going new places and doing action sports and stuff like that. And you can kind of see that in our brand, in our films, as we've evolved, we kind of incorporate some of that stuff into our work. So
yeah, absolutely. I think at the very beginning when we started, I remember us being like, okay, we want to love what we do. And we want to be around like people we jive with and be hanging out with people. Like wedding days, we don't want our work days to feel like a bore. We want it to be something that we really enjoy. And so we sat down and made like our target market. Like we wrote down who they are, what they love, how old they are, all that good stuff. And I always keep that in mind when it comes to social media marketing.
Yeah, that stuff's really good. So you guys got together, you had your business, you're building it. When did photo like get added in? And was that a Katie, were you just like, I just love doing photo, or did you guys see it as, hey, now we can reach more people and we can make more money and our business can grow? Like what was kind of the idea behind adding photo in with your business?
Yeah. To be completely transparent, I think it was the latter. We just kept getting asked, which I'm sure a lot of people do all the time. Do you do photo as well? Do you do photo as well? And finally I was just like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. Like, let's go. And I made sure I had a second shooter. I knew how to work a camera. I feel like photo and video is a little bit different in that way, where if you can do photo, you definitely know how your camera works. You know what I mean? So it was easier to incorporate photo in that way. So yeah, I had my first wedding. It was in Hawaii. And I just truly just freeballed it. I was very transparent with the client, with the couple, told them that this would be my first wedding shooting photo, and they trusted me, and here I am. Yeah. And that was only how many years ago? Maybe 3.
Yeah, I think probably 3 or so years ago, and we had always kind of bounced around the idea from the beginning, but we really wanted to focus in on video at first, and really build the brand around that, and really take our videos as far as we could. And then when we kind of got to that point, I think it was a good jumping off of like, okay, I think we can add this to our business. And like you said,
Be a bit more lucrative too.
yeah, be a bit
Yeah,
more lucrative, expand what we're doing.
absolutely.
I like the sound of that. I'm a big fan of things being more lucrative. I don't know if you've noticed around here, but so logistically, how does it currently work? I mean, are the majority of them video and photo now? Do you guys shoot with each other when you're not, or like what does the business look like for the rest of the year into next year with logistics? Like how does that work?
Yeah, for sure. So like I was saying, it's about 50-50. I would say in terms of 50% of our weddings are solely video, and then the other 50% are photo and video. We do try to book as many photo video weddings as possible. And on those days, it's a little bit hectic. It's generally just the two of us, unless the couple adds on second shooters. And we generally require that when it's over 100 people. So like if it's smaller than 100, it's usually manageable. And also just depending on the situation, like if it's depending on the location and logistically what we're kind of getting the sense of what that wedding's going to look like, we'll shoot it solo, or we'll bring on second shooters to kind of help out with that. But yeah, wedding days are busy when we're shooting photo and video, but we also love it because we have full control over the whole day. And so creatively, it allows us to go into the wedding with a plan, and there to not be any hiccups in terms of what's going on with the schedule of the day, and then also just coordinating with each other and the shots that she needs and the shots that I need.
Yeah.
And we've done so many now that we're kind of on the page with that kind of with that kind of stuff. But I think that's a huge advantage when you have full control over the wedding day.
Yeah. And I have the video mind first because that's how we started. And so when I'm the photographer, like I really keep those shots in mind, keeping tons of movement, so that Zach barely has to get anything separate. So the day just goes by a little bit faster too, and just easy for the couple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to hire you now for my wedding, even though I'm not getting married. No. Sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
Fine, let's do it.
Oh yeah, man. So I like that so you went to this workshop where you were there to be the video, and had you started doing photo before that one, or was that kind of something that you said, I wrote it down, you said, Zach, we need to jack up our business, and so like was that one of those things that just kind of came from that? And like how would you say that one workshop has helped you and where you are to get to today? We are big advocates of education and going to workshops and doing things and just hearing the cool things that being in person with some other people really did. So how would you say that workshop affected where you guys are now today?
Well, first off, I want to say, like, I think workshops and content days are so beneficial, like so beneficial. Like you said, that is why that was kind of the pivoting point for us, for sure. But just being like in an industry where it can be a little bit lonely, like you're just working by yourself all the time, like it is so great to just get out there, hear perspectives from other people doing the same thing that you are, get collaborative, get creative. They're so great. But anyways, back to the workshop that kind of changed it for us. So the reason why I think it kind of pivoted for us is that I was hearing all these things. We grew up in Michigan. We started this company in teensy tiny northern Michigan, and that's all we really knew. That's all we were like, all we've seen. I had no idea that, and neither of us, I don't think, even knew that there were like destination photographers and videographers. Like we had no idea. Not that that's like the epitome, but for us it was. Like we thought that was so fun to be able to travel for work and do these like really cool, more intimate, more untraditional weddings, because that was our style anyways, coming from more of a travel adventure background. So hearing them and like how they construct their businesses and their tips and tricks as to like what they do to get clients and market on all social media and all this good stuff, it kind of made us excited and wanted us to made us inspired to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And Peyton and Kylie
Unbelievable.
are unbelievable. And going there to shoot the video, one of the cool things was that we actually got to attend the workshop for free as well and sit in on everything. So Kate, came back with a big pad of notes and a lot of inspiration from that. And I think those two things, where, it's different, it's one thing when you're thinking about doing it. It's another thing when you have belief in that you can actually do it. And so she came back with kind of those two things. And like I said, the inspiration, but also a lot of technical things on, how to add photo into our business. And so, yeah, I think investing in, education, I took when I was first starting, I bought a course on, to learn everything that I could. And, we attended workshops, we attended content days, styled shoots, all that kind of stuff to get started and get rolling. So.
Yeah. What was the course called? It was like,
I think it was like the full-time filmmaker.
Yeah.
That I went in on.
Zach was like honed in, and he made me watch them all. I had homework.
Yeah, I probably bought a couple, honestly, and I'm big on that though. I'm always learning. I'm always subscribed to podcasts and YouTube channels, and not just wedding filmmakers too, but other filmmakers to try and get inspiration. So
yeah, I like that. And listening, in looking through your website, I know that Katie, you said you're an Enneagram 7, wing 8 is what it said. So I had to look up what this. I had to look up what this was. And Nick's a big Enneagram guy. He says I'm a 3, true and true, whatever that means. But I wanted to read a couple of these. I am a 3. See, okay, yeah, okay, cool. The personality horoscope, I'm a 3. Got it. No, I'm kidding. So it's interesting though. This, like, the little description I saw was like, prioritizes optimism and gratification, seeks opportunity and experience, is afraid of missing out, loves the company of others, and like those are the main things that I'm seeing. And it's like, love the company of others.
Yeah.
Being afraid of missing, like at the Rome retreat, you guys were there. You wanted to be there. All the it's like you want to be at all the things, but like using your personality, wanting to be at certain places, wanting to be in the company of others, taking those risks, seeking opportunity and experience. I mean, these are all good things to have for where you guys are at. But like leaning into your personality, being you. Going to these workshops, I'm sure that there were some relationships built as well. I'm wondering how you guys currently use this, these kinds of things to build more relationships. Are you working with planners a lot? Are you working with, how are you guys building relationships and using that for your business?
Yeah. You want to take this one or me?
Go ahead.
I feel like we are like yin and yang, man. We are like opposites attract type people. And we both really, really need each other, like, to be successful. Zach definitely brings me down to earth and is a little bit more of a realist and much more analytical. And gosh, he's so technical, which makes like our films incredible. I'm definitely a little bit more in the clouds, a little bit more of like dreams and let's do this. I say yes to everything. He's got to be like, Katie, we have 5 weddings booked that month. How did this happen? Like, you need to stop. You need to say no. So it's definitely good for both of us. I think we balance each other out very well. But I think creating relationships in this industry is everything. I was touching on that a little bit when I was talking about workshops and content days, but like, just especially moving around as much as we have, like once we got to a city, like we were so excited to meet people in our industry, because you do just have that jive, and we can talk about things that nobody else understands. Some of our close friends in Denver are Boomer and Sarah of Multiply Media. We love Cody from Say Stanton. They've all been so fun out here, so they really welcomed us in once we moved to Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just to talk about relationships a little bit more, it's so important on wedding days, and not only on wedding days, but outside of wedding days to build those relationships, to continue to keep in touch with people on social media. If you're going to a new city, to link up with people, and not just like you said, planners, photographers, all these people are great, especially for video. and booking, but also other videographers. One of the things that was great for us when we moved out here is we linked up with Boomer and Sarah and others. And one of the things that we did was, we started to put them on our referral list for, okay, if we have a date booked for a wedding, we'll send it to them. And simultaneously, they've sent us weddings. And so, it's not uncommon to, as to be booked. And when that happens, to have, others to send weddings to. We now have this list of, 5 to 10 other videographers that will refer people to, sometimes based on location or what they're looking for. And we've noticed that, when we refer a different videographer, a lot of times they'll refer us back, which has been really, really helpful and big for our business. So
yeah. Friends aside, business wise, like, it's obviously very helpful to know a lot of people too. People feel uncomfortable referring someone or talking great about someone that they don't necessarily know. So the more you put yourself out there and the more that you attend and go to, like, the more people are going to feel comfortable saying your name.
We've you hear the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But more importantly, our friend Elaine from KEJ was like, it's who knows you. And whenever you build those relationships, it's not just, hey, I'm referring them, but we have this relationship and they know me. So now we're going back and forth and all this sort of stuff. So building those things is key. And it took me way too long in my business before I figured out the importance of having like solid networking and solid relationships with other people so that we could do that with each other. Because sadly, our work doesn't matter as much as maybe we think it does, right? And those relationships that we have, really, really matter a lot. So, I wanted to shift our conversation a little bit. One of the things that as you fill out a questionnaire, you're talking about you feel like you are really good at some of the business side of stuff and kind of like the selling and like giving couples maybe more than a product, I think is what you wrote down. Like what kind of things have you guys really leaned into when it comes to selling destination weddings and selling these multi-day things? Because like I get inquiries all the time and it's like, well, I want this 4-day thing in Cabo and all of this kind of stuff. I'm like, well, that's going to cost you, and all this, like, oh never mind, we can afford your plane ticket here, but that's it. So how are you kind of getting into those things and having those conversations with people so that you can really give them something that they will cherish? I felt like I just asked a lot of stuff, and I don't know if it was
a good
question.
Question. The first part I would say is just about experience. And I think we both love giving that to our couples. Like you said, sometimes it's like not even necessarily about our work, right? That's what you just said. Like sometimes it's literally about just like how you make people feel. So just loving on them and serving them as much as possible, like throughout the process and as great as possible, is kind of our job as well. So once we get things booked, we send little questionnaires along the way just to get to know them a little bit better. And then on wedding day, obviously we act like bestest friends. We follow each other on Instagram. I actually favorite the little star. Now that you can favorite people, I add all of the couples for the year into that favorites tab. And so I can click on that and then I can just keep up to date with all of our couples for the year and really have them feel like, because it's true, that I'm like keeping up with their life.
Yeah, I think offering an experience, there's so many things that goes into that. But leading up to the wedding day, there's a lot, and she's great at this, but there's a lot there's a lot that we do, I think, to take and go the extra mile, and it ends up, in the overall scheme, becoming referrals for us, friends of friends, et cetera, because we build that relationship and offer a full experience versus just showing up on the wedding day, shooting a video and then delivering it to them. And I think it starts with, we do a first FaceTime with the couple to get to know them, make sure not only that it's a good fit for them, but a good fit for us. And then like Kate said, there's once they're booked, it's not like, okay, we'll talk to you in 9 months or a year or whatever. It's keeping up with them on social media. She's constantly commenting and liking their photos, and we're sending out questionnaires to get to know them with what kind of songs and music do you like, and various other different things on those questionnaires, just to get to know them as people. And then we look at those when we go to edit the video. Like, we don't want to, if they love country and hate everything else, like, we're going to find a song that's a little bit more that vibe for their video. And so there's tons of things that go into leading up to the wedding day, and then on the wedding day, like showing up at slightly early, and also just like being as personable as we can to the couple, but then like all the guests and the parents and and everyone, and just trying to
we're hugging the mom.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're besties with the bridesmaids.
Yeah, so there's there's the experience leading up to the wedding day, on the wedding day, and then following up with the couple and staying in touch with them as well after that. We have plenty of couples that we still talk to and know, and because they were fun to hang out with and
get drinks with.
We get drinks with, and we vibe with them, and so yeah, I think that's a big part of our business and who we are and what we offer. And sometimes the couple may be deciding on between two, and they're the other videographers' videos might be slightly better, have an edge, but they'll book us because of the way that we've come across to their friends, or on our website, or on our social media, or on our first FaceTime with them, to be and to communicate to them like, hey, we're more than just someone that shows up on that day.
Yeah, it's very obvious that it's you've done a very good job, like an excellent job, if I may, like on just like showing your personalities, being like, whenever we met you all in person, it wasn't just like this weird standoffish, like it was like immediately, I mean, Zach's a little more calm and than Katie, but like it was a really good, like, wow, I really like them. Like immediately it's like you're confident in who you are, you're a joy to be around, you're energetic, and it's just like, oh, I want to be around these people more. And I think that mixed in with like really portraying that through your website, knowing that Zach sleeps with 5 pillows and that you listen to every Bachelor podcast ever, and like all these different things about the two of you, it's like, I can relate to them. And then I wanted to transition to talking about the work, because if your work sucked, it would be harder to sell these weddings. But on top of having the brand, we talk about the brand a lot on here, but also the work. The better the work can be, the more personal it can be, the more it feels like the work feels like you guys. As I'm scrubbing through your Instagram, just kind of preparing for today or whatever, and it's just like there's a couple bridal portraits or whatever on your Instagram where the bride just feels so candid, and it feels so like it's sexy. There's like a lot of skin on some of the photos. I'm like, whoa, I shouldn't be looking, but maybe I should be. Or, but it's like, it feels like edgy, right? And but at the same time, it feels really technically sound. The color on the recent film, I think it was maybe Lake Tahoe, I think is what it was. Just like their jackets, all the like everything, like just really is really sharp and really clean, and really, you can just tell that somebody is doing this work that really knows what they're doing, as opposed to this guy over there. And so maybe talk to me a little bit about like how much effort you really put in, since Zach, you're the main editor, technically speaking. Like what is that part of your business? How do you balance that with not going too far into being tech geek, but at the same time, like, this work is better than your average work that you see? And so that has to help sell as well. So maybe talk a little bit about kind of your thought process on the quality of the films and photos and how much that matters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it matters a ton. And I think anything you can do to differentiate yourself from others and develop a unique style is going to, set you apart from the rest of the competition, and allow you to find the specific people that, we want to shoot. A lot of it is we've built a brand around ourselves. And so the right people find us. On wedding days, I think what, like, the example you brought up was like that Lake Tahoe wedding, the multi-day weddings, incorporating like something other than the wedding day, I think has been a huge step up for our films. Like, we, like the Lake Tahoe one, we did a full ski day with them the day before. So I actually had my camera like on the mountain skiing with this couple And we skied with them for like 2 hours. Films.
Like black diamonds. Like this dude, like you crack me up. You're like, I'm like, let's do some groomers, like whatever. And Zach's like, we can do it. Like, let's go down the black. Like, that's fine. He's just with his expensive camera, like rolling down. I sadly did not. I did not dare hold the camera down the black diamond, but
yeah, like with that couple, we did like 2 hours of skiing with them, and then we went and did like an après ski with them, like drinking and at a bar that was out there. And I think incorporating that kind of stuff into our film has allowed us to differentiate. Like we don't only book multi-day, but we really brand ourselves as that. And a lot of the couples, even if it's not a destination or travel wedding, a lot of the times we'll still do a day before shoot with them, or a day after a shoot with them. But in terms of like how we like to think about our films, we like high energy, but to still incorporate storytelling. I think you'll see with almost all of our films is we start with like a 30 to 45 second pre-roll in all of our films, where one thing I a while back I was researching into, okay, like what is like really good storytelling, right? And I think it's the emotion on the day and the vows and the couple and all of that stuff, but it's also like what was exciting about the film, like what's relatable, what's funny, like and also how can you grab the viewer's attention in those first like 10-20 seconds. Like when I'm watching a film, a lot of the times if those first 10-20 seconds are boring, like I'm gonna click off and leave watching the film. And so if I can hook them, put something funny, put something relatable in those first 30-45 seconds and make it really high energy and fun, then I hook the viewer to want to watch more of that video. And then you can, after that, you can kind of dive into more of the romantic storytelling, and sort of, build your wedding film out in like there's an exciting, part, and then it kind of goes down and then it builds back up. And then there's a climax at the end with all the dancing and the partying again. And so, yeah, I would describe our, from a technical standpoint, our films as high energy, fun, but we also like to incorporate the storytelling in terms of the couple's vows and the speeches and all that kind of stuff as well. So
as I'm sitting here listening to you talk about your films and your high energy and the edits and that kind of stuff, and this might be kind of a strange question since we're an audio podcast, and we're visually showing stuff, but I think it's a good one. A lot of people, I know specifically, probably the last 2, 3, 4 years, the cold open or the high energy intro has like become way more and more popular. And now it's almost like films that start out like kind of slower and cinematic, whatever that means, it's like, okay, this guy's old school. Like we don't need to watch it. It's almost like, but now whenever we have these higher energy and they're becoming more popular, okay. I think a trend that I see is people want to do those things. And what they do is they kind of pick a high energy song, but then maybe they're not high energy editors. So like I think there's a big disconnect with a lot of people that are trying to do some of that high energy stuff with the stuff that they're putting in there. So as you think back to your Ed and I, I've watched a few intros of some of your films and they're like next level, lots of quick cuts, lots of different kind of effects and like that kind of thing with editing. What do you have a suggestion? One or two or three things that if someone who's never done this before is sitting down trying to do or elevate it, a couple suggestions to help them get better at that type of edit. Do you have any suggestions there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it starts on the wedding day. So how you're
I was gonna say the same thing, my babe.
Yeah, so it starts on the wedding day in terms of how we're filming and what we're trying to capture. I would say we're shooting a majority of our work handheld. And so we're really like ready and in 24p. So we're really, ready to capture moments at all times of the day. Like on wedding days, I'm running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Like, where can I get this next moment? Just always being ready. And I think if you look at the beginning of our films, it's a lot of like somebody's cheersing the camera with a beer, or somebody's like laughing, talking to someone else. Like, there are moments that are authentic on the wedding day that I've gotten lucky enough just to be in the right place at the right time. But I put myself there, right? Because I'm constantly, all day, looking for those shots and those moments. And so, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, also on our final call with them, we always do at least two Google Meet calls with our couples. Like we tell them like, hey, try your best. Don't be scared of the camera. Like if you want to dance in front of the camera, if you want to speak to the camera, like yell at the camera, do those things, because all of that will only make your video hype, like more hype. So fun. So a lot of our couples that are very high energy people, because that's kind of who we're attracting now, they're like, great. So they're just getting sloppy in front of the camera, you know, chugging a beer, doing whatever they want. And they just know it's going to make it a more fun video.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the wedding day, right, where we're capturing all of these moments. And like I said, if you look at the pre-roll, it's a lot of those things, right? The more exciting moments, the people laughing, the people cheering, the kiss. It's we don't really use much slow-mo. And you know, when it comes down to the editing, I think it's choosing the right song. It's cutting it down to it's short enough so that you can make quick cuts. And because you know, if it's a minute or too long, you're using like a lot of footage, right? And there's not that many of those moments on the day. So it's, you know, it's picking out those right moments. It's quick cuts. It's a lot of, you know, testing in and out and transitioning from one shot to the next. So one thing I always look for, like technically when I'm editing, is like, how can I, if I'm editing fast paced, how can I transition from one, almost like one scene to the next scene in a way? Like if you look at the ski video, it's like, okay, they started, my first couple clips are snow skiing, right? And then how can I transition to the après ski at the bar, right? How can I find a shot that links nice with the next shot so I can transition over to that? And then I'll do, you know, a couple shots there, and then I'm transitioning to something else. And you can use colors to transition. You can use focal lengths. You can use a number of different things, right? But I'm looking like, how can I, in this 30 to 45 seconds, really like transition through a series of clips in order to get from one to the next really quickly. And like, we're about to put out a film right now, but it was a film we shot out in Montana, and they had a lot of like horses and different things like that, right? And so like one of my shots is like I'm showing a close-up of a horse, and then I'm transitioning to a wider shot of them like with the horses to get from one scene to the next, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but
It makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think that you know, as you guys are, as you're talking, a couple of things that I'm hearing in, especially with these types of edits and going kind of next level with your edits, and whether you're doing something that's super fast and high energy or not, or you're doing something that's very like slow and methodical and intentional, I picked up in hearing you guys talk this whole time that you're listening a lot to your couples, and you are obviously talking to them and communicating with them. And I think that is what is going to make your films be so much better, if you are actually listening to what they have to say and taking that stuff in, having multiple meetings with them, talking to them. Like the fact that you are directing them and saying, hey, don't be afraid of the camera, like get up in there. If that's the type of thing that you know that they want, then you're just opening that door so that they don't have to question, is this okay? You know, like get up there and do it, because you've you know, positioned yourself as this is the type of business we are. This is the type of films that we are creating. Zach, I love that you're talking about thinking about you know, the transitions and tension. I think an issue that I'm seeing a lot whenever it comes to people that want to do more high energy edits is it's just like the song speaks for itself. And then they go and they just start throwing this in and this in and this, and kind of just like throwing a bunch of clips at the wall and see what sticks. You're saying you need the right song and it needs the right flow and all that kind of stuff, but you're still being intentional with the clips that you're picking. You're not just willy-nilly, oh, this shot's fun and this shot's fun, without somehow connecting them, or somehow there being, you know, some connection between the two. You know, I'm great on time shifting. Like I love time shifting, but as an editor, if there isn't something that like makes sense to me on why we're going from here to here, then I think that like, why are we doing it like that? So those are a few things that I picked up on that you were saying as you were, you know, talking through some of that stuff.
As a viewer, it has to make sense.
Yes.
Like when you're watching the film, it has to just make sense. Okay, well, they went from here to here, and you know, it has to visually just make sense.
Yes, that
flow
you know,
naturally.
Even if you're editing a pre-roll, for example, like you're still establishing a new location with a drone shot or a shot of the details or whatever that is, letting the viewer know where you are, and then showing, you know, the couple's faces, who they are, and those basic storytelling principles are super important, even when you're doing something, fast paced like that. And, in those pre-rolls, it's a lot of times it's building up to something like, I'm starting out with maybe some of the adventure session and some of those extra things that they're doing or whatever. And then I'm building up to the kiss where everyone's cheering, right? Which comes at maybe like 20-25 seconds in, right? And then I'm kind of like winding it down to where I'm going to cut it to intro to the next song, right? So
I will say that's one thing that we are very conscious of on every wedding. Every wedding that we do is getting a ton of B-roll establishing shots.
Yeah.
Like we are shooting all the time. Like even if they don't hire us for the morning, typically Zach and I are waking up and we're, flying our drone. We're heading into town, getting shots of the town, getting this and that. Just because we know that'll make the film better.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Zach.
I was just gonna say, especially with like those multi-day destination weddings, like that's so big for us. Like, I'll a lot of times I'll suck it up and get up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. for the sunrise and get some really cool shots of like, the downtown Palisades area in Lake Tahoe where there's no people there that early yet, or when we're in Mexico or something, and like these places become busy and crowded or whatever when it starts to get busier throughout the day. So like waking up and getting those establishing shots early, I think is a cool thing to do, specifically when you're doing a destination, but maybe not, maybe just in the town that you're shooting into, like getting those cool creative shots that are going to allow you to transition from one place to the other seamlessly, and introduce new scenes and settings and so forth.
I love all of this. And I think about it like from the perspective of it's got to be all of the things. It's got to be you understanding your personalities really well and understanding your brand really well. And then putting that out into the world on the internet through social media or through whatever, or through your connections, or just like putting it out in the world. And then it's how can we truly express ourselves by shooting the kinds of things we wanted to show sooner or later. Maybe they didn't pay for that extra couple hours where you went downtown at 6 a.m, or maybe they didn't. But like, these are the kinds of things that like invigorate your soul and make you really excited, and you can lean into those things. And then it shows even more because we're always shooting this year for what we want to charge next year or the next year. Or and so the work we're shooting right now is our highlight reel in 6 months or whatever. And so one of the things Katie said a second ago that like stood out, and I wonder how you all do it though, is like the viewer has to understand what's on the screen. And I'm realizing you all have a built-in kind of duo to kind of say, hey, watch this film. Hey, critique this. What does it look like for you, Zach? Because I'm sure that you are more of the personality that's like, this is perfect. I've got that. Like you got this vision and stuff, and you're just like, hey, Katie, watch this. And then maybe she offers some feedback. How does that process work for you? And maybe speak on the importance of getting people you trust to view your work and being able to make sure that it's not just you and your editing cave doing your thing, but that there's some collaboration on that side.
This is definitely where the arguments come in every once in a good way.
I knew they got into fights sometimes.
No, on wedding days we're pretty seamless, but it's just easy to get attached to your work, right? And it happens with me with video and her with photo, and but we've gotten better at that. As time has gone on, and she's got a good eye for video and storytelling, and so it is really great to have someone to collaborate with on our films. And
I'm the same with my photo. I'll be like, will you look at this gallery for me? And then he says one thing and I'm like, oh, seriously?
Yeah, but when
I have to change that much? Okay, great.
When we approach the editing for a film, we both, we have that conversation with each other. Okay, what do we want this film to look like? How do we want to start this film? What were some of the moments in this film that need to be, at the climax or the peak of the song? Or was there anything specific and unique that happened on that wedding day that we have to figure out a way to include on this, right? We put out a video a couple weeks ago. It was in the British Virgin Islands, and there was a really cool they had a really cool band at this wedding, and one of the guys actually walked out like into the middle of the dance floor with his saxophone and a mic and was like yelling to the couple, and they were all singing together and whatever. And we were like, okay, we need to figure out a way to include like this part in our film. And so we kind of talked about like, okay, where can we put this? Do we put it at the beginning? Do we put it like somewhere in the middle of the first song, last song, whatever. And so we're collaborating on like the story of when we're thinking about the film and looking at the timeline. Okay, like what are the important moments? How are we going to include them? And then once that, starts to get built out, there's, okay, Kate, come watch this. What do you think about this? We're collaborating with each other in terms of how we can, continue to make iterations to get to that, final point of send off to the couple. So,
or I'll be like, don't forget, that first look, like he sobbed, like he was a mushy ball of mess. Like we have to let that play out a little bit longer. So just reminding, I mean, obviously we shoot just so many weddings. So do you, all of us, especially during the summer. So it's easy. It's nice for us to be able to remind each other of those big moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so good, having someone there to connect with. And, it's nice. Like I have my wife, Jen, and, we do this together, and she's actually taking a lot more of a role in editing our films and like piecing stuff together and just bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's so, such a good thing. And it can really, most people in their life, in their businesses, whatever they're doing, the thing that really helps them get from, point A to point B, or to take that step, is whenever they start inviting other people in, whether that's a business partner or someone that you're close to, or just building relationships, or whoever that may be. But that can really help you. And it's the same thing for whenever you're editing a film, or, you have a business idea and this is something I want to do, or, what about marketing, or, whatever it may be, fill in the blank. The more minds that you can have on it, it can lead to some really, really cool things. So thank you guys for opening up and sharing a little bit, kind of your creative process. We're kind of winding down here on time, but I know that you guys do have some stuff that you would kind of like to promote and talk about a little bit on your end of things. So I wanted to open it up and say, what do you guys have to offer if anyone would like to, book you guys for some services or stuff, or, and then also where can people just follow along and check out your incredible work? It's kind of a 2-for-1 there.
Yeah. Well, you can find us on Instagram or Water and Whimsy. We're Zach and Katie. I'm trying to remember the question.
Yeah. So there's
great interviewer here, just asking you all the questions so you forget it.
Good. I was spacing.
Yeah. No, there's a couple things that we've been working on. We do. You can find us on our social media. Give us a follow. We'll follow you back, and feel free to reach out. And connect. We're always looking to build friends in the industry, other videographers, photographers, whoever. And we also have a website. You can check out our website to see some of our films. Also on our website, we do mentor sessions. So we offer 2 different mentor sessions. One is a more brand-driven mentorship session, social media branding, marketing, all that kind of stuff. That's her bread and butter.
That's with me.
And then we also do a technical. So I do more of like how we shoot on wedding days, how we edit, all that kind of stuff, our gear, equipment, and so forth. We're also, one thing we want to talk about too is we're also working on a LUT pack. We actually have a vision of, since we do photo and video, and this was one thing we really struggled with our business, was finding a way for our photos to match up really nicely with our videos. And I think we finally reached a point where our photo and video are very cohesive. And so we've been working and tweaking different presets and LUTs and stuff like that. And so we're pretty soon here going to release LUTs and potentially, some photo presets as well as a combo. And so, just keep an eye out for that. But connect with us on social media. Come say hey.
I love all of it. I really do appreciate you guys in just the little bit of time that we've known you, and for taking the time to be on today. I wish you all nothing but the best. It's so cool to have you on your very first podcast with us. So we feel honored to be there and cannot wait to bump into you guys in the future. And obviously, if you ever need anything from us, you know where to find us. So thank you all for being on today.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Guys, thanks for having us. That was so fun.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And thanks for everything that you guys do for the wedding industry too. It's one last thing that I'll finish up with is just, it was really cool to see you guys come out to the Rome workshop out in Colorado. And I know you guys were there to connect and help, other videographers that are coming up. And so I think that's just really cool. You guys what you guys are doing, not just with the podcast, but outside of that too. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Love it. So, yeah. Goats.
We're here for all the compliments. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Katie and Zach, for being on the show today. Nick, I hope you have fun in Italy as you fly and eat pizza and drink wine and have pasta coming out your ears. And you just get to see all the cool things. I'm not upset. I'm happy for you. I am telling myself I am happy for you to go to Italy. I'm saying it out loud again. By the time this episode airs, hopefully everything went well on your trip. A lot of good things going on. Be sure to check us out over at howtofilmweddings.com or howtofilmweddings on Instagram. That's where you can shoot us a message. Join the community. Listen to more podcasts. Keep doing what you're doing to make yourself a better wedding filmmaker. Nick, you're my best good buddy. I hope you have a great time. And until next time, we